his diploma and fellowship in minimal access surgery in Delhi World Laparoscopy Hospital. He is member of various associations like Advanced Laparoscopic Surgeon and Bariatric Surgeon. He joined here in SRM Medical College as assistant professor in 2006, and he has been visiting consultant in various corporate hospitals across India, to name a few like KHM, Ananagar, SIMS, VS Gill Park, and Dr. Mohan Diabetic Gopalapuram. Now he is presently a professor of surgery and deputy medical superintendent in SRM Medical Hospital and Research Center, Katankurttur. With this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Dr. R. Balamurugan to give his insight on COVID from the physical health perspective. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, one and all. Thank you for the warming words, Mr. Jacob. So yeah, I'll just start the session directly because it's going to be a little longer session. And so the insight, already we have good insight, like everyone knows like what is happening here. So the COVID is like rolling as the entire world for the past 2 years. Each and everyone a part of it, and like we are suffering for the past 2 years. Everyone might have been like whatever we do, like a part of the COVID has been into it in this 2 years. So everyone knows everything about the COVID. I'm just going little bit deep into what actually is, what the government is advising us, what we are supposed to do, and why we are doing it. And just you can see in the following slides. So next one, sir. So on a brief introduction, this coronavirus belongs to a large family of RNA group of viruses. You see like viruses can be an RNA or a DNA group of viruses. Basically, it is previously some years back, all the Middle European countries and all these countries like had the SARS and MERS, that is like a severe acute respiratory syndrome virus and Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome viruses. These viruses, when it was spreading to the other countries, we don't have the impact in India. We just escaped out of it. Because our people, like we are very used to like playing in the mud. We are used to playing in the sand. We go out like anything, and we are immune to many viruses and bacteria. So a small group of flu-like viruses, we are very much immune, and we generally don't get much of this disease process. Our country is a developing country, and like we get into acute diarrheal diseases, some form of respiratory diseases, not in the severe form like SARS and MERS. Unfortunately, we had SARS-CoV-2, which was initially found in 2019, and which was renamed by the WHO as COVID-19, that is Corona virus 19. So why it is named as coronavirus is because like this, the shape of the virus itself is a different one. You have a lot of spikes in the virus that looks like a crown. So it is a ruling like a king now. Unfortunately, a bad king which is ruling the world. So it has been named as Corona. Can we have the next one, sir? Yeah. So the first case was reported in 2019. We all know that most of these viruses, bacteria generally will stay back in the animal. So that is going to be that will not infect the animal, but those commensals will be present. Many of humans even have some amount of bacteria, viruses, fungus, which are commensals. That is like it will not cause any disease to the person, but it will be staying back there. But when our immunity goes down, the same can invade our body systems and like it produces the disease. That is what is called as commensal. So generally, most of these viruses originated in animal, like birds, pigs, bats, and other animals. We are yet to confirm whether the corona is going to be like arising from the bat or it is like transported from some other chimpanzee or anything. But obviously, it is not from the human, and we are very new to this. That is what called as a novel coronavirus. And once it has spread to the humans, it becomes infective, and we started to develop the illness. So next one. So next slide, sir. So this virus initially started with so as such, the symptoms wise, when we see any disease for that matter, we divide into a prodromal phase, a illness phase, a declining phase, and a convalescent phase. So what is this prodromal phase? That is like everyone might have suffered from some amount of fever, cold, some running nose, all these things. These are the before any actual disease is going to develop, our body is going to react to some amount of foreign body. Anyway, it can be a fungus, it can be a virus, it can be a bacteria. So our natural protective mechanism is going to do something to it that is called as the prodromal phase. So we will have running nose, we will have watering of the eyes, sometimes like sneezing, sometimes like a increase in the temperature. All this is the prodromal. Actual symptom will definitely vary from what it was. So the symptom wise, what are the actual symptoms we get in COVID is cough, fever with chills, shortness of breath or difficulty in breathing, sore throat, ageusia, that is like loss of taste. This is very, very important, very unique to this type of COVID. Anosmia, that is loss of smell. Again, many a times, like even for a normal cold, we always feel like our taste is not good, our breath is not good. So we will feel like the smell is not good. But this is very particular in this type of group of viruses. This goes very well with the ageusia and anosmia, diarrhea, headache, fatigability. There is like even a small work, you become very tired, nausea or vomiting or nasal congestion. When you see all these symptoms are related with the oral cavity and the oropharynx and the nasopharynx. So we all understand now at this point. So the entry point of this virus is going to be the nasopharynx or the oropharynx. So what we are supposed to do, we are to protect in the sense the entry has to be limited. So we are going to wear a mask. So the symptom itself says like you need to wear a mask. Okay. So from there, our protective mechanisms are so much, and this protective mechanism can very well see to that like push off all these things from our digestive tract, I mean to the aerodigestive tract, push it off, and we can have diarrhea when the virus is going to enter inside the intestinal tracts. The next one. So how does it spread? Everyone knows that it is spreading through person to person through a close contact, through a respiratory droplet, through airborne, especially the recent second wave, and fomites and through the environment. So here, the person to person through close contact and respiratory droplets is almost accounting to 95 to 97% of the transmission. Airborne is going to be less, and fomites is going to be very, very less. We'll see how it develops from the person to person through the close contact. So the path of the virus is how it takes us to the disease, like the exposure, how it becomes an infective, how the virus is going to respond, and how we are going to recover, or it's going to be critical, and post recovery, how it's going to develop the future immunity. That is what we are going to deal with it now. The next one, sir. So next slide. So exposure. So there are two types of exposure. It's going to be a direct exposure, or it's going to be an indirect exposure. So directly exposing means like when we are standing very close to a person, the person is coughing directly on the face, sneezing. Now the person is like sneezing in his hands and shaking hands to a person who's not infected, and attending a close gathering, a small group, a small meeting where the ventilation is not proper, or we are not fully protected, like masking has not been done. All this or a direct exposure, and we will try to have a increase in the exposure rates. Whereas if the place is well ventilated, and if you're protected with your masking, all these things will definitely decrease the exposure rate. Even if the infection is going to be there, the volume of the virus is going to be very less when compared to a direct coughing or a sneezing. We will definitely understand a volume is also important. The inoculation of the virus directly with a huge amount is definitely detrimental rather than a small amount of virus, because everyone will have their own defense immune mechanism to deal with a small exposure rather than a large exposure. Indirect exposure, like we are going outside and like we are going to purchase something from the supermarket. A person might have sneezed something over the vegetable, over something, and we are going to touch it off, and after that, like we are going to take our hands to the nose or the mouth, or it's going to be the eye. So it's kind of a indirect exposure. Or if the person has been like spitting on the roads, or if the person is going to have coughing out the droplets over some surfaces, we are going to touch the surface, and we tend to develop those infection. But that part of infection is going to be very, very less, and like developing the infection will be very low. And this infections after starting, it takes at least 2 to 14 days for showing its effects. Generally, it is between 3 to 5 days we'll start to have the symptom. 5 to 10 days it has its effects, and maybe like maybe a mild symptom, moderate, or the person goes severe. And as per the government, like we generally discharge 3 days when the patient is not having any symptoms, and we advise for a quarantine for a week's period after that. So after 17th day, we generally think the person is definitely free of the disease. Even many a times, that is the reason we always advise, like the person is getting the symptom on the first day, we generally don't do a RT-PCR test. When it is on the third or the fifth day where the person is getting the symptom, the sensitivity of the virus is going to be more, and the investigation wise, like you can detect the virus in a good way rather than when you do it at a very earlier phase. The next one, sir. So, and format of transmission is through the how does the virus spread? So, the virus, the path of the virus, the previous one, so. So path of the virus is very, very important. When there is an, yeah, through the infection is through the nose and the mouth, it's going to be the primary pathway. So the primary pathway, anyone for that matter, it is going to be through the face and the mouth. So from there, our immediately say, anyone who's having a small dust or going to be having a small bacterial infection or a virus which is entering our oral cavity or the nasal cavity is not into our disease. Why is it? Because we have our own innate immunity. So this innate immunity is going to defend ourselves. So what are those? We have mucus secretion inside our oral cavity, that is oropharynx, our nasopharynx. That is why, see, when there is a small dust which enters in, immediately you start to feel sneezing, or you'll have a running nose immediately. After some time, it will be you'll be free of the sneezing and a running nose. So that is basically a protective phenomenon to you. What happens is this mucus, a thick gel-like material which has been secreted, will tackle this virus and it'll expel the virus through the oral cavity from to the gastrointestinal tract. And we have a lot of air-like projections inside the respiratory tract, the entire respiratory tract, that is called a cilia. So it has the cilia will be moving forward, and this ciliary movement will push up the virus. And after, when it is like here comes the volume again. If the volume is going to be very less, our innate immunity can push up this virus, and like still we will not have the disease. That happens for everything. But the new virus, what we have is going to be very, because we are not used to this virus, our innate immunity is not able to tackle that much. Even now, 90% of the person who's having the infection is going to be asymptomatic. Only 10% is having symptoms, and those 10%, only 1% or less than 1% is coming with admissions, and even 0.5% is going for the ICU. In that aspect, 90% of the people are well saved, and the 10% who recovers treatment is the part which we are going to deal with. So what happens is, like our cilia is going to be protective, our mucus is going to be protective, and immediately our cell will respond to it. There is gap junction between two cells. These cells will unite together, and it will not allow the organisms to enter between the cell junction. Also, when this has been happening, what happens, like our cell will secrete all the secretions. So the chemical substance which has been secreted from the cell will try to defend, and our white blood cell, which is the thing which comes immediately to safeguard us, like in different forms. We have a lot of white blood cells in the form of macrophages, your neutrophils, your dendritic cells. All this cell will come and attack these viruses and other organisms which is entering, which is a foreign body, and it tend to protect ourselves. And also it gives a signal for the antibody production. This is what a general thing, what is happening, and generally, like we will be free of the disease. The next one, sir. Here, the defense mechanism is by our cell structure, as I already discussed. Very importantly, the virion has to be intact. When the virion, when you see the structure of the virus here, it is like enclosed by, it has spikes throughout, and there are capsules, and inside is the genetic material which is present, nothing but the ribonucleic acid. All the things is going to be nucleic acids. Here it is a ribonucleic acid. So that is the one which is the infective part. but even the infective part has to be infective, the virion has to be intact. So that is the reason when the virus has been spreading to the environment, it is not that infectious. After some time, last wave, we might have seen like in the cardboard, it is staying for 24 hours. In the metal, it is staying for 96 hours. And in the mobiles, it is for 30 days. Nothing is proven because all this virus which has been going to the environment has its own propensity to degrade and die. Even if it dies, the genetic material will be intact, which will be present there, and that becomes non-infectious. Even the genetic material which will can be inhaled or it can be swallowed by us will not produce the disease because we need to have attachment to the cell. This part of this genetic material cannot replicate on its own. It needs a human cell to replicate. It has to have a copy because like a single cell has to bifurcate and it has to divide into small viruses, which cannot be done by the ribonucleic acid, and like it keeps like our body cell to divide. So what it does is it hijacks our cell machinery for copying these viruses. How does it hijack? Immediately it is not going to take up the virus. We need some receptors which can take up the virus. So there are particular receptors which is present called as ACE2 receptors. This ACE2 receptors are present abundant in the lung, along the respiratory tract, in the thyroid, and also it is present in the gastrointestinal tract. To be very specific, it is present in the pancreas. That is the reason more so the affecting part is going to be the lung and the respiratory tract, and sometimes the thyroid, and many a times even the patient who develops the disease tend to have a diabetes. Post-COVID sequelae is present. So when this has been done, the cell comes and attaches with this ACE receptors. So that is called as a holding of the cell. And every virus has some key to open the cell because like just an attaching will not cause a disease. I'm like it is getting a very good way of entering. So once it get attaches, it has to produce a key. So the key is opened, and through the ACE receptors, our genetic material, that is our RNA, is being inoculated inside our cells. What happens after that? This genetic material, that is the RNA, translocates into a protein. This protein start to build by use of our own cells. Then this protein becomes blocked and it becomes packaging. That is like our own cell. What it does is like helps the virus to pack itself, and slowly it pushes to the corner of the cell. When that forms a corner of the cell, it is not one virus. It is like replicating in multitudes. Once it comes to the corner, it start to bud from the cell and small virions start to develop. So each and every cell, it is going to give so much of virions. And once that has been done, the cell is going to die. So it is not a natural death what we had. It is going to be a different death. So when the cell is dying, imagine the cellular particles which is present, the chemicals which is present inside, everything is going to get degraded and it is going to come to the respiratory tract. Imagine it is not going to be one cell, it is going to be 1 million or it's going to be a 1 billion cells. When that is going to get distracted, you are going to have an effect based on which part of the cell is getting affected, where it is entirely getting affected. So that happens to form the disease process. The next one, sir. So response and recovery, as already discussed, the innate immune response and the adaptive immune response. The innate immune response will be responsible immediately by the ciliary reaction, your mucus, your tight junction, your chemical mediators, all this forms an innate immune response. The adaptive immune response is very, very specific. For this particular virus, I'm going to secrete this particular antibodies. So I will stimulate the B lymphocyte to produce some amount of antibody to combat this infection. So there are so many types of antibody like IgG, IgA, IgM, and your IgE. The immediate antibody is going to be IgM, and moreover, or the secretory antibody, what we say in a respiratory tract, is going to be your digestive tract, is going to be IgA. All this as separate mechanism to attack this antibody, and also it stimulates the other type of cell to keep a memory of what has been suffering. So when we have a reinfection or a later date, our memory cells will be like stimulated, and the memory cell will start to produce this antibody immediately. It will not wait for us to develop the disease, maybe 5 to 8 days or 10 days. It will be like initially you had the disease, you'll be suffering from for 8 to 10 days to develop this antibodies. Whereas when we have a secondary infection, the secondary infection produces antibody at the very early phase and the recovery is very fast, or you may not have the disease at all. That is what the cell mediated immunity and memory cell, which will be very helpful for us. Next one, so in this happens mostly in the mild and moderate cases. What happens, like we'll have some amount of cold and sometimes like some fever after a particular group of patient will end up with all these things, and the patient will recover in a week's time and it'll become negative, and we generally advise a week quarantine after that, and the patient will be like is not he'll be out from the community, and that means like he is not communicating the disease. 0.5% of these cases will become severe. So what happens is this severity may be because of certain things. The virulence of the organism as such, like more than your the first wave, the second wave is going to be very severe. The second wave is as such is producing so much of severity. That means the virulence as such is important. The next one is going to be the amount, the quality and the quantity of the virus is going to be important. The third one is going to be our own cell is going to get distracted by this phenomenon. So this is going to trigger our cells. Our cell is going to react to it when it is not reacting in a proper way, or when it is not been like supervised. It reacts in a very excessive way, and there comes the disease process, and we are having all these unpleasant symptoms and sometimes problematic one. The more so this happens in an immunocompromised, diabetic, and pre-existing health condition patients. This is called as ARDS, that is adult or acute respiratory distress syndrome. What happens here is, generally I told, the cell is going to get depleted. The cell secretes all these chemokines. The chemokines is like, that is a chemical mediators, which is like tackling of an infection. That is not regulated. It keeps secreting so much so that our entire cell is going to get depleted. What happens in our lung? The lung is a spongy structure. The entire lung, the column, the bottom line of the lung is going to be the alveoli, which is a very spongy structure. And very close to it, it's a very transparent membrane. We have the blood vessel where the exchange or the diffusion of the gases takes place. That is, the oxygen and carbon dioxide is getting diffused in this place. What happens when this dead cells, chemical mediators, your mucin, everything put together forms a thick layer? So whatever we breathe, it is not going to diffuse through this layer to the bloodstream, or the carbon dioxide which has been retention, which is present, is not coming out from the blood vessels to the gas. So the exchange of gas stops there. That is where you developed hypoxia. That is, your saturation levels goes down when the alveoli as such is going to get affected. So we try to get saturation is going to be less. We initially go with oxygen. And if it is much more severe, then you put on the ventilator, or you give oxygen in a pressurized form to open the diffusion barrier, so that like you will be feeling better. So this is the basic etiopathogenesis which has been happening in a case of ARDS, in a severe case of a COVID pneumonia. The next one, sir. So that is called a cytokine storm. The cytokine is a chemical mediator which kills a virus. Also, it ramps up the antibody production. But when that has been unregulated, it produces devastating thing. So that is the reason we put them on steroid to stop the cytokine production. It goes more than that. We use the tocilizumab and other agents to stop all this cytokine regulation. But we need to understand all these drugs. Again, it's going to be powerful and toxic. And we need to know when the cytokine storm is happening. That is the H point in it. And like when that has been started on the correct time, we'll be able to save the patient. The damage when it occurs in the lung is not going to be a reversible one. Sometimes partly it is going to be reversible. Most of the time it is going to be irreversible, because many patients, what we see in the recent future, recent past, is like the patient lung become fibrous. Because when fibrosis is nothing but when you have a scar, it is not a normal epithelium which is replacing, it's a scar tissue which is a thickened tissue. It doesn't have an elasticity. The same loss of elasticity will happen in the lung. Diffusion will not happen, and it becomes stiff. You're not able to expand. What we see here is like when the lung is not expanding, many a times the symptoms when the patient collapses. You need to know when the patient is exactly collapsing. Very simple things. The patient is eating. The patient like feels like a air disease is present. Their saturation is going down from 94 to 90. The patient consumes food. You'll be like finding just on food what is going to happen when he gives so much of energy in his digestive tract. The saturation still drops down. When he is going for a urination, that time again he strains. The saturation is dropping. And when he's defecating, that time again when he strains, the lung is put in so much pressure and again desaturation. So it is not like a very excessive strenuous thing what he does to stop his saturation or desaturating him, whereas a simple maneuvers or desaturating, and when it falls to a critical value, the patient collapses, he becomes unresponsive, become unconscious. Immediate attention has to be needed at that particular point. Next one, sir. So recovery, as discussed already, the memory cell retain the effects, and if reinfection occurs, it helps to prevent us in a very good way. And especially if the person is a youngster, like his antibody titer will be more, and so he will be able to combat the disease very well. Antibody is not a permanent one. Understand? It is not going to be, even the infection is there, it is not going to be lifetime. The antibody will definitely decline over a period of time, and reinfection is almost always possible. So if a person is like getting the disease and the person has been recovered from the disease, he should always feel to have all these mantras like wearing a face mask. All this thing has to be adopted in a very proper way. I'm sure because like whoever suffers from the disease will definitely not forget the disease process. He will definitely do it. Even otherwise, it is our oath to definitely do all these things like wearing a face mask and personal hygiene and good gap between the persons. All this thing is definitely essential. Next one, sir. So this is very important question. Can asymptomatic spread the disease? So I said 90% of the people is going to be asymptomatic. Will they be able to spread the disease? Asymptomatic means the person is not going to have fever, is not going to have coughing, is not sneezing, nothing else. But if he is talking loud and if he is shedding the droplets, shouting at a concert, singing, spitting, talking very close without protection, definitely it can do so because these droplets will contain the virus, and this virus will definitely can infect the other person when the other person is not protected. So it is difficult to spread the disease by asymptomatic because they will be very good. They will not have any symptom. They will be like a normal person. They'll be roaming around. They'll be going to the environment. So all these things can spread the disease, and we will not have a surveillance to which all the person this person has met, where all he has gone, and we will not be able to contract all the persons to make the person in a quarantine. That is very difficult. That is why in a epidemic or in a pandemic fashion, even the person is having asymptomatic phase, we need to protect the other persons in the form of masking and forming a social distancing. And one more very important thing is the quantum of virus which has been carried in the oropharynx by a asymptomatic patient is almost equal like a patient who's a symptomatic one. So it is not like asymptomatic patient will have a very small volume of virus and the symptomatic person will have a huge quantum. It's going to be the similar quantum which has been present there, and the virulence is also going to be the same. Maybe the virulence may be little less, and the person is having a good immunity not to contract the disease. Next one, sir. So this is a very important slide, I believe. How to protect. The best thing is like avoid the virus being exposed. On how you do so, your three mantras always, like everywhere, wherever you go, you wear this face mask. Not a simple face mask. It's going to be a 3-ply face mask, which has a filter to protect it. And don't use a face mask like from day 1 to day 10 or day 1 to day till lifelong. See, it is all designed in such a way it has to be used only for 1 day. And if it's becoming wet, it loses its filter, and you're going to change the face mask. Even if you keep on like using this face mask, the same face mask, you're going to produce infection in some other way, even your mucormycosis or your COVID is going to enter. So please use the face mask in a diligent way. And hand sanitation, always like our forefathers might have already said. So whenever you come inside the house, you have to wash your hands, wash your feet, take a bath. The same thing holds good now. Even you wash with soap and water, and if possible, if not possible, then go for a more than 60% of alcohol containing sanitizers. And that is the thing which can degrade this or degenerate this virus, the capsule, and you will be protected. And personal hygiene, as I said, like whenever you, cough, uh, have a hanky with you or a tissue paper so that like it is not spreading out, and see to that like that has been disposed in a proper way. Again, like disposable of the face mask should be in a proper way rather than like just throwing it in and there, and even the small chance which has been present as a environmental from the environment spread, again it is possible one. And social distancing, please avoid social gathering. A small closed spaces much more risky than our open ventilated spaces. And the main thing is vaccinate yourself. Government has already given an indication to vaccinate more than 18. So the vaccination is the key. If it is going to be, we are going to be free of the disease. If nothing has been there, it is going to be a lockdown. We don't know when and where the lockdown is going to get released. Lockdown, see, basically we need to understand, we have to go with the government, we have to protect ourselves, our kith and kin, our community. So lockdown is, you need to understand what is a lockdown. Basically, a lockdown is to break the chain. So I'm meeting, imagine a model like A, B, C, and D. A is a person who's going to meet D, and in between is meeting B, and it crosses all the C and going to meet the D. So I can trace the, I know who's the A, I know who's the D, I know who's the B, but I don't know who's the C. So the C is the person, imagine the person is traveling in a bus. So there are like some 40 passengers are there with him. So I don't know who are the 40 passengers. It's very difficult to surveillance, get a surveillance of this 40% rather than I know the one that is a, B, and D. I can treat them, but not the C. This is where your lockdown is very effective. So put everyone inside the residences for 7 to 14 days. I already told like the disease process starts within 2 to 5 days. In this 5 days, you have the disease process slowly decline in 10 days time. And after that, you are going for the convalescence. At the most, it is going to be 17 days. Yeah, very important thing. People will be like very afraid. They feel like I will do a swab again and again and again. They'll take a swab on the 20th day. They'll do it on the 30th day, 40th day. Sometimes it may be positive. And don't panic. If you have a symptom, if you don't have a symptom, even if it comes as positive, definitely it is not, because the fragment of the virus itself can be detected by a PCR. So when that has been detected, don't think that like, you keep on having the infection that has been propagating for long years, right? So here, the same thing holds good in your lockdown. So this 14 days is going to be very important. You break the chain. The next one is going to be preparedness. Institution will get prepared. Your hospital is going to get prepared, and your food material, your drugs, your what are the essential needed to tackle a patient. Everything is going to be prepared within this lockdown, and we will be like ready to receive these patients in a good way and to treat the patient and to save a life. So that is where lockdown is. So we need to understand what is a lockdown. We have to go with the lockdown, go with the government, so that like they will stop the spread of the disease. If that has not been followed properly, again it is going to start from the scratch. Again, we need to lose loss of life, a lot of lives, and we have to suffer from the disease. Again, going to be a lockdown. So this process is keep on replicating. Next one, sir. So how do you diagnose this? RT-PCR is the gold standard at present. So this is like done generally between 3 to 5 days interval in our time after the patient person gets infected, or that is the inoculation period has been over. When the person showing symptoms, third and fourth day, you can do an RT-PCR. So you can see the sensitivity is only 65% in the first week and 35 to 40% in the second week. That means if 100 positive persons have been tested, only 65% will show you positive, and the remaining 35% will show a false negative reading. That means even the person will have the disease, but it will not be shown by RT-PCR. So now you can imagine the intensity, how much we are missing every day. This is if it is properly done. The swab, the nasopharyngeal, oropharyngeal, whoever might have underwent the swab might know how painful it is. So it is really a painful procedure to do it. If it is done in a proper way, the sensitivity is 65%. Otherwise, even the sensitivity comes down very drastically, and we miss lots and lots of cases. So what is it that? It detects the CO2, that is COVID-2 nucleic acids. That is why I said, even if the nucleic acid will be detected even after the disease process has been completely gone. So don't panic when you are going to get detected. It's better not to do it. If you're asymptomatic, if you're symptomatic, you can proceed and you can do the test. And after the disease is getting over, better not to do it, because like we have the fear factor that the virus is still present and we will be going in for psychological depression. And rapid antigen test, many tests are there, and that detects, gives you a result in 30 minutes. CT test, again, when you have symptoms on the 5th day, it is very ideal to take a scan of your chest. So the CT of the chest will tell you how much of the lung is getting involved. And if it goes, that depends upon mild, moderate, and severe. If it is going to be mild, still we can treat it, your residence, home surveillance is okay for it. And if it is going to be moderate and severe, then we need the patient to be hospitalized. And so many blood tests, initially, a total blood count is the ideal thing. Your total blood count will show you the total count to be less, like 2000, 3000. So when that is less, that means it is a viral disease. But it cannot guarantee which virus it is going to be, but we can have an idea that it may be COVID in this scenario. And after that is getting positive, then we can go in for a test which depends upon the severity of the disease. The next one, sir. Next slide. Yeah. So mild cases. So what happens is mild cases, that is a saturation is going to be more than 95. Your respiratory rate is good, less than 22. Fever is not that much. Your pulse is good, less than 100. Or still the patient is going to be asymptomatic. The person can be treated in the residence, and a proper observation is needed. And don't stain much. As I said, the 3 important factors during defecation, urination, or having food, you have to maintain yourself like in a very calm atmosphere. Otherwise, like if you stain so much, you are going to have a saturation loss, and that is going to make untoward consequences. So the patient saturation is dropping less than 94, and the patient is breathless, high-grade fever, a drop in the conscious level. The patient definitely needs admission, and treatment and observation is a must. Next one. And here comes the most important thing, is the vaccination. So most of the vaccine are concerned or cornered around the S protein or the spike protein, that the spike which is present around the virus. So we have so many types of vaccine which have been available. One is the mRNA vaccine, that is a genetically engineered mRNA displaying on the cells. This induces antibody production, and everything is going to be short-lived. It is not going to be lifelong. It may be for a year or 2. That is why, like Westernized people take flu shots every year, because like it produces antigenic shift and drift. That is a small genomic changes are going to be a big genomic changes which can produce a pandemic. Or a vector vaccine, what we have like a Covishield, genetic material from the COVID-19 is placed in a modified version of the viral vector. Generally, adenovirus is used for it, and this gets inoculated inside the cell for the copying. And this S protein, which has been attaches, S protein copies and attaches to the cell, and this will induce the antibody. So your spacing of the vaccine, again, it's going to be very important. When you take the first shot, you give adequate spacing, and then take the second shot, it will be definitely protective. And other vaccine like a subunit vaccine, protein subunit, which is a totally harmless one, that's protein, and to create an antibody by attaching to the cell surface. At present, we have Covaxin, Covishield, Sputnik available in India. All have almost equal efficacies, and our goal should be to vaccinate all rather than which vaccine. Next one, sir. What about mucormycosis? Don't panic hearing the black fungus, white fungus, yellow fungus. All these are common cells. Take it from me, everything is present in our nose, your oral cavity, in your throat. But when the immunity comes down, then it becomes infective. It crosses the barrier, that is a basement membrane. It invades the vascular system and the immune system. Then our immune system becomes weak, and we tend to have the disease. So what happens is this virus goes and blocks the vessels. Then the particular blood supply will be cut off, and there will be necrosis of the tissue, which gives a black color along with the virus, which is called as the black fungus. So this will happen most of the patient is severely diseased, or immunosuppression by disease or the drugs, or a patient is having a diabetes mellitus. All this thing can definitely cause a mucormycosis. That is an invasive mucormycosis, to be very specific. And especially when the patient is having a prolonged ICU stay, because the patient will be like completely on ED tube, and his immune system is going to be down. And when the patient is taking excess of steroids, your immunity is going to be still down, and use of industrial oxygen to more extent that may cause swelling below the eye, sometimes loss of vision, sometimes adjacent structure get involved, or sometimes FRF organ like your kidney and complete shutdown may be possible. So the diagnosis, early diagnosis is the key to it, and appropriate treatment will definitely save a life. And all this thing, whatever been discussed, as we followed, that is more important rather than like waiting for the mucormycosis to develop. I think like I've covered almost like most of the insight. I don't want to go into the very depth of each and everything. So thank you very much for patient listening. We are together in the fight against COVID-19. Hope you all help us in treating the disease, and our key is the vaccination. Kindly do it. Thank you very much. Any questions here? Any questions here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Gopi from Biotech department. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm Gopi from Biotech department. Actually, a very nice presentation, sir, and you clearly explained about innate and acute. It was mainly fight against our COVID-19. My question is, why people are using plasma therapy for COVID treatment?
Plasma therapy at present, it is not that productive, sir. So basically, plasma therapy is been for an antibody. So when the person is getting on, initially this is a novel virus. We are not exposed to this virus at all, right? So we don't have any form of antibody in anyone for that matter. So if there is a genetically engineered antibody which is available, say imagine if it is a tetanus globulin, or if it is a vaccine which is already available, we can definitely go for this monoclonal antibody directly and eat the virus, and we can get cured. Because this is a novel virus, the first time you are getting it, the plasma therapy, because plasma therapy is nothing but an antibody which has been present in the person who has already got infected. What we do is after 2 months time, 60 days, we will take the blood sample and we will check for the antibody titer of the person. Many a times, even a mild symptomatic or the patient is asymptomatic will not develop antibody at all. So very rarely, the person is having a severe disease or moderate disease will tend to have an antibody. The antibody titer is going to be good. That time we take the plasma of the patient and we inject that into that is like like a RPR, and we concentrate that and inject the particular antibody to the patient. But that sounds like not good now, and like we stop plasma therapy, and it is very much outdated now, because like we have already started getting monoclonal antibodies, and like we started to have the vaccine. Now the plasma therapy is absolute.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bala. This is
Yes,
Venkat Shastri, Director Career Services.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for this enlightening session. And I have disturbed you in the midnight also once for one of our colleagues' father's treatment, and you responded well. And I thank you for that, response in you as a doctor at night, midnight hours also. Your guidance is really helpful.
Working, sir.
Yeah, would like to know more about the wave 3. People talk about wave 3. As you said, I understand that vaccination is the key, but how different is it from wave 2? And wave 1,
It is.
As a common person, I have not seen any big difference, except that there was huge queues for oxygen beds and ICU beds, and we started learning so many things, how many liters, what sort of thing. So how do we take care of this? And do you, as a multidisciplinary
So
university,
it is nothing. Yeah.
I would
Nothing but the variants, sir. So
Yeah.
wave 1, when we see the histories, none of the pandemic has like it once and like it has gone. So if
Yeah.
you see the Spanish flu, smallpox, whatever it is, it forms multiple waves, because like this virus get harbors at some other places. When we start to stimulate something, the COVID also will hit, right? Like we are producing vaccine, we are giving the antibody, it has its own memory and it starts to mutate. So when it starts to copy, the virus is getting copied in the cells. So we are not able to see, imagine a class is there, 40% are writing the exams. One person is going to copy the next person. When it's been transferred to the next person, it is not the same thing he is going to copy. He'll miss something. The next person, when it does, is going to miss something. So the copying of the cells, that is a genetic material, that's a RNA which has been copied, it is not going to be perfect. Sometimes there will be an error in copying. A small error will be missed very badly, and like the the virus will die immediately when a small error is present. But if the error is going to be very significant, it start to produce a virus in a different way. That is what you call as a mutant virus. When the mutancy of the virus is going to be less virulent, we will be escaping the disease. Our antibody will be like combating this virus and we'll be fine. If the mutation is going to be much severe, that is like a big antigenic shift has been happening, the entire nucleic acids sequence is going to be changed and it's going to be almost like a new virus and we tend to have the disease. That is what is called as a part 3, that is like a wave 3. What happens here is like our understanding, the vaccination, what is going, the drive of vaccination going in such peak will be done till from 18 years of age till the elderly. So what is left is from childhood to 18 years. That is why they are very much concerned about the children, because children is not exposed to this virus at all. But generally, less than 10 years of age, we have our own innate immunity response in a very, very good way. And any virus for that matter will be handled in a very good way. Whereas between this 10 and 18 years, the person who's having an immune system, slowly the bursa, what we said, the B lymphocyte, which is present in the thymus, will slowly degrade. It will start to reduce its size and reduce its production. That is the reason that 10 to 18 years are very vulnerable. And once they are not getting vaccinated, they tend to have the disease. Once the children is going to have the disease, obviously the parents are going to have the disease, and that can spread the disease in a very big wave rather than your second wave or the first wave. So basically it's a virulence. The first wave, it's a small one. The transmissibility rate is more, but we combated with some immunity and also our vaccination, our drugs. What happens is it has to prove its efficacy. So the virus replicates in such a way, it increases its virulence, and now it has developed into a variant which affects the lung directly, and we are falling short of the oxygen.
Thank you so much.
We have to be very much prepared for
to reduce the accidents and mutations to make it more safe for us by taking vaccination.
That's quite very much impossible, but we can protect ourselves by way of all this face masking and social distancing. And I think like we have to start living in such a way.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Bala.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a pleasure to hear you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, good morning, sir. This is Dr. Kesavan, Vice Principal from Vadabalni campus. My mother is admitted in hospital, sir. RT-PCR shows negative, sir.
Yes,
But the doctor says CT scan and other radiological parameters are showing symptoms of COVID.
When did you do your RT-PCR, sir?
Monday, sir.
No, how long from the
after a week, sir.
Okay. As I said, like between 3 and 5 days, it is going to be the sensitivity is 65%. The second wave, it reduces to 35%. And if the swab has not been done in a proper way, again, it will be negative. And take it from me, the CT shows 98% sensitivity rather than your RT-PCR. When CT is involved, 100% it is going to be COVID only. So our concern is now to reduce the inflammation, that is like a dysregulated inflammation rather than the virus itself. Virus will be there. So generally what happens is like it's all self-limiting. All the viral disease is going to be self-limiting. It comes and your threshold for the your thermostat has been upregulated. That is why you develop the temperature. The temperature generally will not be survived by the virus. So it degrades, and after a week's time, it will settle down. This is a normal pathway of any virus for that matter. But here, when the dysregulated cytokine is started to act, then we tend to have a problem. And the severity, again, like it depends upon like if it's mild severity in the CT test, then should not be worrisome. If it's moderate, then she needs admission and she needs treatment for it.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Some of these shots, like for Covishield, initially it was like it has to be, the second shot has to be taken after 28 days. Then it went on for 45 days, and now it's moved on to 84 days. What is the exact change? Why is that change? Because we get anxious, you know. Why is this change happening for the second shot?
Even the vaccine is very new to us, right? This vaccine is very new to us. So many a times, like it is a phase 3 trial which has been going on, and like we started to have, because you know very well, like this type of trials will go in for years together, maybe 2, 3, or 4 years. Then only any drug is going to be accepted. For us, because of this mass vaccination, the disease is like killing people very fast. they are giving in such a way that the phase 3 trial is getting over and we started vaccinating. Still, we are not aware like it has to be given in such proper sequence. Imagine an hepatitis B, you give 0, 1 and 6 months. Okay, because we study that in a very proper way, whereas studying this virus and this vaccine is quite difficult. So initially they started with a 28-day cycle. That is like the next month they can have the vaccine. But when they checked up the antibody titer, it was very less and people tend to have the disease. They prolonged it to 8 to 12 weeks. So ideal scenario is 8 to 12 weeks to take the Covishield vaccine. That is like 60 to 90 days. It's very ideal for you to take.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir,
It's a great opportunity for me to present myself here. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you.
Excuse me, sir, I have a
for
question.
giving me the opportunity.
Excuse
Thanks,
me,
sir.
sir, I have a question.
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hello, doctor.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Recently, there has been news that it is man-made by the military establishment in China. I said, doctor, what do you say about this? Because the people who say these things are not ordinary people.
Until otherwise it has been proven, we cannot comment on this, sir.
Okay, what
Anything
kind of
we
proof
can
we
make
need?
it. So we need to be like one part we are like very sad that it can be man-made, and one part we are very happy that man can make much mysteries also. A big discovery. So once it has been proven, till the time like we can't make a comment on it.
Oh, like, is it possible to make such virus in labs?
Yes, of course. Our people are very brilliant enough to do it.
So there is a possibility.
Always there is a possibility.
Okay.
When a person can
Okay,
clone
so
and
yeah,
bring
I
a
understand.
human, can't we even make a virus? Yes, it is possible. But we don't know whether this is man-made. It is like uncommentable.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have a question that if a person has taken both the doses of Covishield and after that he died due to oxygen saturation and later his body was tested COVID positive. So as it is said that after 2 doses of vaccine, if COVID happened, it won't be so fatal. So what's the reason behind this?
Generally, ma'am, like the vaccine is good, it's protective. But we cannot give a guarantee like any person who has a vaccine will not suffer from the disease. We have a person suffering from the disease. We need to think of other comorbidities, how the virulence of the virus is going to be, how the quantum of virus it has entered, how the person is going to be. All this thing will definitely matter because vaccine as such, we are seeing here, the person who has not taken vaccine suffer from severe illness, and person who has taken the vaccine escapes out with the mild symptoms. Very rarely this can happen.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Okay, sir. I thank the doctor for your time.
Thank you,
Yes. Actually, I understand. Go ahead.
Sir, I have a question to ask.
Yes,
Post the second dose of vaccine, Covaxin, there shows no antibodies generated. So why does this happen? And the RT-PCR test is also negative. So
when
why
did you
has
check
the
it, ma'am? How long did you take from the second dose? When did you do your titer?
as per the I think after 3-4 weeks. After the first dosage, I took second dosage after 4 weeks, 1 month.
Yeah. When did you check your titer after the second dose?
After 3 weeks.
Okay. Still, you can wait for 2 more weeks. If still the antibody is insufficient, then you have to change your vaccine, ma'am. Maybe in another 4 to 5 months. Maybe in another 2 months, you can change your vaccine. If you are taking Covishield, you can go for Covaxin.
Okay, so one more vaccine should be taken after 3-4 months.
Depending
Sir?
upon your antibody status after 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, thank you for your informative session. Actually, 10 days back, I had a mild fever, a body pain, and immediately I went to hospital and took medicine with doctor advice. I also felt a loss of smell and taste. Now I'm already getting recovered. In this situation, when should I take my vaccine, sir?
Generally, the vaccine will be advocated after 3 to 6 months time, sir. So after 3 months, you can check up your antibody titer, how it is present. And after that, like your antibody is going to be good enough. I don't think like vaccine is necessary at that point. Maybe after 6 months, you can take the vaccine. If the antibody titer is less, you can get the vaccine at 3 months itself.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I have a small doubt. My father aged about 56, sir. So he has a history of undergoing a bypass surgery during 2019. So is that advisable to take a COVID shield or COVID vaccine for him?
Both are equally good. And Covishield generally symptomatically like the person doesn't much produce anaphylactic reaction as described in the textbooks or during the initial phases. We don't see much of the anaphylactic reactions. Very few side effects like headache, body ache, fever. These things are the thing which is present for both the thing. One thing is like Covaxin is a inactivated virus. When the inactivated virus is not inactivated properly, we may tend to have the disease in a very milder form. Whereas Covishield is an adenovirus vector. It is not a complete virus. It is a part of the virus. So disease process developing in that is not possible. So in that sequence, I feel like Covishield will be safe for your dad.
Okay. So how about a person who is having the history of higher cholesterol, sir? So is that advisable for them to take?
Yeah, ma'am, they can take.
Okay.
High cholesterol people generally have a bad disease process when it comes to COVID. So it's better to take the vaccinate themselves and better to be safe.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So what about the
Hello.
diabetic patients, sir?
So,
sir?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Dr. Paneerselvam from SRM.
Yes,
sir, I have a polio from my childhood. But during the month of 7 months, I got polio, and I have been operated in Miyot Hospital for, and a steel plate has been placed inside my leg. Whether I can take the vaccine, sir?
Yeah, definitely you can take the vaccine, sir, because this polio virus is going to affect your spinal cord neurons. And once that has been done, like that is a process is over. It is not going to be there for long, and it is not an immunosuppression. Only person who is having an immunosuppression on drugs or immunosuppressive diseases, or the person is having a carcinoma, or the person is taking any chemotherapeutic agents which will reduce the defense mechanism or the immune mechanism, or should be prevented from taking the vaccine. Otherwise, you are advisable to take the vaccine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you, sir, for your patient addressing of all the queries. We feel more positive, sir. Even though we are in distress situation, your lecture made us more positive to combat this situation, sir. And we will spread the awareness rather than the virus. We will spread the awareness positively. There are about 180 participants are there. They can spread the awareness positively to those who can afford that. And thank you for the session and thank you for the time. And I would like to thank our Associate Director Campus Life to invite Dr. Balamurugan for this session. And he wonderfully addressed all the nooks and corners of this COVID physical health scenario. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And now I would like to welcome Dr. Tendal Arasi, psychologist, to give an insight on mental health. This is more important in this present situation. To give a brief introduction about Dr. Tendal Arasi, she is an head Department of Psychology, Apollo Arts and Science College, Chennai, and she have previously worked in DKM Women's College as head Department of Psychology in Vellore, Tiruvallur University, and she has been a life coach and cognitive behavior therapist, and she has been a resource person to many hospitals and institutions, especially the behavioral aspects and the psychological pop-ups. So in this situation, Tamil Nadu Psychology Association has appointed us as a consultant psychologist for overcoming the stress situation for the COVID patients, also the families who have been affected by this disease. So she is an expert in giving the counseling about these aspects of mental health. Now, with this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Ms. Tendal Arasi to give an introduction about of mental health to combat this COVID.
Thank you. Thank you for a brief introduction about me. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So if there is any disturbance, kindly let me know. So I have presented my presentation. Are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
First of all, I thank the management and the organizing team for inviting me to present a presentation on mental health. So I'm really glad to join you all the participants to share some insight on mental health. So before going into the other aspects of mental health, first I would tell what is mental health is. According to WHO, mental health is the well-being of an individual. They concentrate on 4 areas of an individual. One is, so the individual has to realize his or own ability. The second is coping the normal stresses of life. Third is can work productively. And fourth is contributing to his or community. So this is the main objective of the mental health. So a person who is able to realize his own ability and cope up the normal stress, and work productively and to contribute to his or community. Community in the sense is the family or also for the society. So if a person is able to do all these 4 things, he is mentally healthy. And mental health also refers the way we think, the cognition, behavioral, emotional well-being. So how people think, how people feel, and how people behave. In this pandemic or in this particular period, particular situation, everything has been disturbed. So before this COVID, before this corona, so everyone would have concentrate on their work. They were able to cope up their normal stress. They were able to give a good work in their companies. They were helping their family and also the society. So now in this during this pandemic, so our abilities, some people would have doubts on their own ability, whether I can work more, or whether I'll get a promotion, or whether I can promote my business, or so all these questions or doubts will be there in some people. So they may not have some so productivity in their business. So they have some guilty conscience for not contributing to their family or to the society. So all these things, this mental health has been disturbed during for students. So they may miss their fun, sharing, going outside, doing their assignment together with their friends, and lab works or get-togethers or parties. So all these things, the particularly students community, they expect all these things now. For past 1.5 years, they are missing all these things in their lives. So the future seems uncertain. So everything is out of control. So we plan things and something happens outside. So every students and other the people, those who are working also, they would have planned for their future. So the students would have planned for their higher studies. Students, they would have planned for their career. So for research or anything else, for their growth. For the working people, they would have planned for their promotions or transfer, so higher studies, going to abroad. So all these things, or for the family growth, so building house or getting married to their children. So all the plans they made would have been a question mark now. So they don't know what next will happen, how to plan, and what to do. Students will have whether I should go for a higher study or a way to apply, whether to be in the native place or go to a hostel, or for a career purpose, where should I work, whether I should apply to the abroad or to the in the native place. So all these things, the questions comes. They don't know how to decide for their future. So everyone has this question: what next? Because everything is out of control. So we may not know what happens. So when this lockdown will get stopped and when to start our routine work. So we may not know, and we will be sitting idle by thinking, by having more thoughts in our mind. So many people will have low self-esteem, separation from their family members or separation from their friends, unconscious influences, and relationship breakage, unmet needs, financial needs, survival needs, insecurity, self-fulfillment. So all these things would have, give problem in their mind. So now these three things are occupying most of the mind. So it's stress, anxiety, and depression. So these three things that's ruling the mind of young people and also the people those who want to succeed in their life. Okay? So we can see one by one. So what is anxiety and what is depression and what is stress. So in this session, we are going to see the symptom of anxiety, the symptom of stress and symptom of depression, and also how to come out of these three problems. So because in every day we are facing the anxiety, and some people who have depression, some people who have a stress by balancing their work and their family and their health. So all these predominant things is rolling around our mind. So first we can see what is symptoms of anxiety. So many people in this particular period, people have psychological symptoms of anxiety and also the physical symptoms of anxiety. First, we can see the physical symptoms of anxiety. So if a person is attacked with anxiety, so by hearing more news about here in India, this much people have died and there's no bed in the hospital, so the death rate is increasing. When they are loaded with information, automatically they get an anxiety feeling. So it affects physically and also psychologically. So physical symptoms, they may have rapid heart rate, sweating, shortness of breath, dizziness, chest pain, restlessness. When you see the psychological symptoms, they continuously have the worry. They will worry about their health, they will worry about their career, they will worry about the family, and they have concentration problem, they have nervous and tension problem, and fear of dying, or social interaction. They won't interact with any people. They may be more isolated from any people, and difficulty in feeling. So these are the very important symptoms that we have to notice. We have if a person is affected with anxiety, these symptoms, psychological symptoms also the person will have, and physical symptoms also the person will have. And depression. So in depression, there are emotional symptoms, physical symptoms, and associated symptoms. So associated symptoms which comes along with physical and emotional symptoms. So when thinking about this COVID, so some people may feel guilt because of me only my family got affected by corona, or because of me my family is suffering from financial problem. So some guilt feel they have, some suicidal thoughts. So during last 2 weeks before, so many couples, they have attempted suicide and they committed suicide because of the fear of this COVID. So they may have suicidal thoughts, lack of interest. So they will be thinking, let everything gets over, then I'll start my work. So till that I will not work. So I don't have interest on anything. So they will be keep on sleeping, and sadness. So thinking about their business, thinking about their work, and thinking about their children's future. So everything, it will bring sadness to them. This is emotional symptoms. Physical symptoms, change of psychomotor skills. The psychomotor skills, they will not be able to do any work. They feel tired. They feel that their legs and hands are heavy, or they couldn't move anything. So their body will work very slowly, and changes in appetite. So they won't feel like eating, or some people will eat more. So they have decrease in concentration. They have lack of energy, as I said before. Because of lack of energy, their psychomotor skills will get poor, and they have change in sleep. So some people in depression, they sleep more. Some people, they will sleep very less. So the both are the symptoms of depression. So in associated symptoms, when depression is there, anxiety also will be there. cheerfulness. They want to burst out and they want to cry, or they want to have something, they want to tell something to others. They have excessive worries about their physical health, or pain, or irritability. So all these are associated symptoms. So these depression is also seen in many COVID people, and also with the caretakers. So main thing, we used to counsel the people with positive symptoms, or positive people, and their caretakers. So this anxiety and depression is present in both with the patient and also with the caretakers and also the family members. Okay, so they are all with anxiety and depression, and they couldn't move to their next phase. So they don't know what to do next. So there will be a question mark, when will all this get over? So next is the stress. So stress is, they have to take care of their body, physical body. They have to take care of their mind. They have to take care of their financial things. They have to take care of their children. So workload is more. So there are some people, they have to take, because of this lockdown, we don't have many people to help us when we are sick. So neighbors can't come, our relatives cannot come. So we have to do our own work, and we have to face all our own problems. So we don't have any help to do, or to come and help us in any ways. Okay, so stress is also stress. What stress brings? It brings in body, it brings a headache, infections, and you have some fatigue or skin irritations. And in mind, you will be having worrying about your about the physical, or your family things. So lots of things will be going into your mind. In emotion, you will lose confidence. So I cannot do it. Let me give up. So I can't see my family. I cannot say I will not get cured. So my family is going to suffer a lot. So all these things will go emotionally. So in behavior, you will not sleep, and you will not have good eating. So you will smoke more, or you take drinks more. So all these are behavior things. So in anxiety, depression, and stress, these three affects our body, it affects our mind, and also it affects our behavior. So all these things is being affected. Okay. So whether we have to fight or flight. So whether we have to fight to the anxiety, depression, stress, or to the present situation, or we have to flight from the situations. See, this is fight and flight is a very big concept by which was given by Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology. So we have to, for some reasons we have to flight, and some reasons we have to fight. So if we flight, which we escape from all these things, so escaping in the sense, I can't do anything. That's all. Everything is over. So I'm going to give up. So it is like escaping. So fight is, you're going to fight against the anxiety, depression, and the stress. So when you see these people, so our army or navy people, they are standing on the borders, and before going, they know they are going to fight for the nation. They are going to face problems, but a proper training for a proper self-confidence, they stand there and fight the enemies. So this is the time we have to accept the challenges. So here we have to accept the challenge is that now we are in a very critical situation, and we should not give up, and we have to take it as a challenge, and we have to change our thoughts and mind according to the situation. Okay. So changing your thought pattern. So in thought pattern, we have most of the time we say we have two types of thoughts, which is positive thought and negative thought. So here it comes three types of thoughts. The one is positive thought, which means I will not face any problem. Negative thought, I will face problems. Rational thought, if I'm prepared, I will solve the problem. So this time, in this situation, we should have this rational thought. So if anything happens to me or to my family, I should be prepared to face the problem. So how to prepare? How to be prepared? So we should be using our thoughts, or we should sit and think. So we should work on this if something happened to my family. So what will happen? You should find out the problem, and you should generate. Step 2 is generate the possible solutions. Sit with your family members, talk what all to generate possible solutions, and you sit and discuss or think about the pros and cons of each solution, and narrow down to 1 or 2 solution, and choose prioritized solution. Choose one solution. If it's not working, go to the second solution. If it's not working, so go to the third solution. So we have to work. Rational thinking is working on if. So we have to find out the problem, and we have to generate possible solutions. We have to see the pros and cons, which is positive and negative things in the solution, and we have to narrow down to 1 or 2 solutions, and we have to choose the prioritized situations. Okay. So if I go ill, I have to consult a doctor. So if I'm not working on my academic, I have to consult my teacher. So we have to work on if a problem is there, what I can do. So we have to think that, and we have to. This is called as a solution focused therapy. So we have to concentrate on the solution than the problem. So we should not think and sit with the anxiety or with depression, with stress, thinking of the problems. Instead of thinking of the problem, we have to work it on to solve the problem. So solution focus. So which makes you trouble? So whether your family is your problem, whether your friends are your problem, your studies are problem, teachers are problem, health is a problem, finance is a problem, you focus a solution, what can be done? If I do this, I can solve this problem. So work on if problem. So this is changing. See, your cognitive, you're using your mind, you're using your thoughts to solve the problems. Okay. Next, so these are the things I would like to give something that you should practice whenever you feel anxiety, when you have a depression or you are in stress. This is all the practical application thing that you can do alone, or you can tell to your family members. So when you are in anxiety, you are having a rapid heartbeat, or you couldn't concentrate on anything, so you're in some stress. What you can do is you can concentrate on your breathe. You can have breathing exercise, or you can have even in normal days also. If we are in some critical situation, we have this anxiety. Okay, so if for example, if your authority is calling you, someone is telling your boss is calling, or your professor is calling, your head is calling, your director is calling, suddenly we have the fear, we'll have some fear or anxiety feeling. We'll be thinking that what will happen, why they are called suddenly, what is going to happen, I didn't do anything wrong. So all these things will be going in the mind. So after going, and your boss or your authorities would have appreciate you for something you have done good. So after coming outside, you will say, okay, this is. So what happens during the anxiety, your breath gets controlled, your lungs get strength. So your breathing will be in a problem. When you're relieved from the problem, automatically your lungs get open, your mind gets fresh, and you say you will let out the breath outside. So when you're in anxiety, you can just calm yourself. You can inhale, and you can pause for a few seconds, and you can breathe it out. So the respiration will get regular, and the lungs will get start to work in a proper way. So concentrate on your breath, so you have a fresh breath. And first aid. So when it comes to the first aid box, in every house or in any hospitals or any bus or any other companies, they will have the first aid. So in this particular period, we can have a first aid box. So in what can be there in the first aid box? You can have a mask, sanitizer, hand gloves, and you can have your family doctor's number, or close friend's number, or neighbor's number, or any emergency vehicle number. You can have an emergency vehicle number. So these things can be in that. So if you have any difficulty in your home, or if your family members are having any difficulties, you can immediately call your family doctor, and you can consult about the symptoms. Or you can call your close friends, so they can encourage you. And for neighbors also, they may help you in some way. So even for emergency vehicles, so if you want to travel to the hospital, you can immediately call the emergency. So it's a pre-planned. So if something fortunately should not have anything. I pray that every family should be safe, but still we should have this first aid thing. So we are mentally prepared to face something happens to us. So when we are already prepared, we'll have some confidence. Okay, I have a family doctor number, so I'll call him and I'll get a first aid thing. So I already informed my friend. So if something happen, my friend will come. So emergency, we already have the emergency vehicle number. So when we are pre-planned, when we are mentally prepared, so we will not be having much problem when we need immediate help. So this first aid thing is very important, and very important thing is like overloading the information. So we should not overload information by seeing the media, by seeing the news all the time. So morning you see for 1 hour you see the information for news, and in the evening you see the news. So morning you have a regular news time, and the evening you have the news time. So in between, you don't see what's happening, and even media, all the things, the stimulations, the way they show the music and the words they use, the tone they use, it brings us anxiety. Okay, so mainly the music, the music, the lightning, the photos they show, and the tone they speak, So all this influence our mind. It influences our mind, and we go into a threatening feeling. So this is happening. What will happen to us? So all these things. So don't go to much searching more information. Don't be overloaded with information. So be aware of what's happening in the society. Just be aware of this. So morning you see, and in the evening or in the night you see, and you leave it out. So, or if you are feeling more anxiety, call a friend. So call a friend, share your feelings. So you should not call a friend that always criticize or give a negative thoughts, or give a negative things about the life. You call a friend who gives you a positive thoughts, who encourages you, who actually bring you out of the anxiety. So you call a friend, so that will reduce the anxiety or depression or stress. Okay, this is laughing out loud. So usually I give this exercise to my participants. Now I would like to give an exercise. I would like to switch on your mic and the video. So when I show the next slide, you can read it out. Just you can read it out. I request the participants to switch on the mic, and if you are not comfortable with the video, just you can switch on the mic. So just you can read what is on the screen loudly.
Shall we go for the next, ma'am? He.
Yes, we can.
He. Yes, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So this is I asked you to read what's on the screen. So when you start reading, you automatically would have seen a smile on your lips, or you started to laugh, or you started to giggle. So you might have some positive energy in you. So we should have some time to laugh. You can call your friends. You can have a fun time. As you can see some comedy shows in the TV or in your YouTube. So you should have some time for laughing. That will make your body energetic, and will make your mind fresh. So this is one of the techniques. You can laugh by cracking some clean jokes. So, clean joke is very important. So by laughing, we feel energetic, and we're out of anxiety or depression or stress. And then we can have good sleep. So sleep is very important, as we saw in anxiety. If a person is in anxiety, will be having less sleep. In depression also we saw the person will be having a difficulty in sleeping, and stress, the people those who are in stress also have a difficulty in sleep. So for to have good sleep, so what we have to do is our room should be quiet, and that room should be in the darkness, and the room should have some air flowing, so it should not suffocate. You should have some ventilations that gives you good air. So if you are in a small house, if the people are around, you can have some eye cap. So you can put an eye cap that brings your darkness. So when you have the silent place and the darkness and the ventilation, you will get a sleep. Okay, so sleep brings you better decision making, on improve your memory, and manage stress, and improve your immune system, physical health, and gives you energy and concentration. So sleep is also very important. So instead of thinking and spending your time and worrying and uh, in being in an anxiety, you can have good sleep. And exercise. So exercise is a formal term we usually use. Okay, so many of we will not be able to exercise like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like we cannot change our dress. So exercise should be in another term. We can say it's a physical movement. So we should have a physical movement. So in psychology, we say it's a movement therapy. So you can you can make any movements, a free movement. It's not that your hand should be straight, your leg should be straight, move forward, move backward. It's not like that. You can make a free movement that will bring a good energy and gives a good breathing, and you feel good. So you can lock a room, you can lock the room, and you can put some music, and you can make a free movements. You can free movements. That physical abilities will give you some energy. So during that lockdown, many students and children know they have this lack of physical movements. So they will be sitting in front of the TV, or they walk slowly, they come slowly, they won't bend, they won't stand. So for them, this physical movement is very important. Make them to dance, make them to go up and down the staircase, give them some work, so they can go and come. So instead of spending their time on the screen, so give them some physical work, so they will do, so their body will be in a good condition. And we should have good diet, eating food and some nutritious things. And the very, very, very important thing, exposing ourselves to the sunlight. So sunlight is a very good positive energy giver, and it also gives as a vitamin D. So getting early in the morning, go to your upstairs, not with your friends or not with your neighbors or apartment people or anything. So you go alone, you stand before the sun, the early sun, have a good air breathe. So expose your skin to the sun. Okay, because this is very important, because during the lockdown we don't go outside. We are sitting inside the four wall. So our eyesight, eyesight is just it's like a 10 feet or 12 feet. That's all. So we don't have long sight at all. So you will be having some eyesight problem also. So you go outside in the morning, you see the sky, you see the cloud, and you see the birds, and hear to the birds singing. All this gives you a positive energy. So when you see the sky or the clouds, so you will be having the long sight also. So there won't be any problem in your eyesight, or you will not get any headaches. Okay, even in the evening, you can go evening after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So you can go and you can see the stars, moon, and you can have a fresh air. Or so all these things gives you positive energy. Okay, and this is very important. Have fun time with your virtual fun time with your friends or neighbors or family members. So you call your friends, your school friends, your college friends, your colleagues. Have a fun time as we plan for a party during our regular timing. So we can plan, or we can make a schedule for our school time friends or college time friends or colleagues or family members. We can have some fun times. We can talk each other about the old memories. So recently we had I had a session with my students. It's an interaction session. So we were recalling the memories that happened in our college during the regular college days. So students came up with few memories that made them happy. So so all these things you can make a meeting with your friends and you can ask how they are doing. So when you ask them how you are doing, it gives a positive energy to them. So they will think, so someone is there to care me or having concern on me. So that gives a positive energy. So when everyone are talking and having fun, so it also improves the immune system. So this is a very important. One day you have a meeting with your family members. Next week you have a meeting with your college friends or school friends. So your neighbors. You can have this virtual meeting. And this is mindfulness. This is what I said. So you see the nature, and so the mindfulness is being aware of what's going around you. Being aware of what's going around you. Just you come out to a terrace, you see the greenish trees, leaves. That gives you pleasure to your eyes and also to your mind. So when you listen to the birds singing, so listen what's going around. So that gives you one nice feeling, and your eyesight also gets good. And whenever you eat something, that also you enjoy and eat. So don't be worried and don't be thinking something, and don't neglect the food. Just you can eat with enjoying the dish. So this is mindfulness, is aware of things that's around you with a positive thoughts. Okay, and this is a relaxation technique. So this is, you can lie down and you can relax your head, your face, your neck, your shoulder, your arms, your palms, your hip, your thigh, your legs. So this, if you're not able to sleep well, you can focus on this relaxation therapy. So this will gives you good energy. So this can be done for 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, you definitely will feel that your body have gained some energy, because in anxiety or depression, or if you're in stress, your muscles would have been tightened. So there won't be good blood flow to the heart and also to the brain. So to loosening the tightened muscles, you can practice this relaxation therapy that gives you good thing in your mind and the body. Okay, the very important thing. So during the lockdown, we should not waste our time. As the mental health definition says, that we should realize our own ability, and we should cope up the stress, and we should bring the productivity, and should contribute to the society and also to our family. So we have to change according to the scenario. So we should identify our own ability, our own stress, and we have to apply according to this situation. What I can do through by sitting in the home, I can use my digital to improve myself, learn new things. I can contribute new things to this through virtual. So we can use, we should aware of our own ability, and we should cope up on before, and see how you are you work productively, and see how you plan according to that, and you can contribute to your family and the society. So you can have some movement clock. So morning you're getting up and you plan according to that, and you do some productive work that gives you some growth in your life. So it can be a financial growth, it can be your career growth, it can be a personal growth. So see whether this lockdown giving you growth. So according to grow, you have such plan. You talk with your professors, you talk with your boss, you talk with some your friends. So you plan according to it, and you utilize the time. So when you turn back and see, you will not regret that. So I have wasted time. So you will not regret. So you will think that, yes, I have used the time. So I have grown during the lockdown. So I have because the lockdown is there, but our age time is going on. So by being in the home, we should not waste our time. We should do something protectively, and that should contribute our life, our family, and also the community. So these are few things that the youngsters they do during the lockdown. They had started this terrace gardening, and this is homemade soap, cake ordering, and craft working. Some classes, the Bharatanatyam classes or Zumba classes. So by at being at home, they are doing some productive work. Okay. So with all these things, we can pick out the stress or anxiety or depression. Thank you. So with this, I conclude my speech. So hope you all enjoy the session. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Ma'am, one question, ma'am. One suggestion, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, please.
We are continuously seeing the screen, ma'am, for classes.
Ma'am, I'm not audible. Your voice is not audible.
For eyes, ma'am, eyes. How to take care of our eyes? Any suggestions, ma'am?
Can you please put in the chat that because I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry.
Can you repeat the question, ma'am? Asking, ma'am. Can you repeat the question?
Is my voice is clear, sir? No.
Now tell me. Yeah, now it's clear.
We are continuously seeing the screen, no, sir. Nowadays,
Okay.
most of the time we are spending on seeing the screen. So, how to take care of our eyes? If any suggestions, like any exercise or how to
Yes, now I'm clear with
take care
her
of
question.
eyes.
She's asking about the eyes. Continuously, they are seeing the screen and how to take care of our eyes. So, as I said, ma'am, you have good sleep. So, after seeing after spending 1 hour time on the screen, just you go out or see the sky or see something which is so far. So, it gives you the long sight thing. So, because the we will be keeping the things near and we'll be seeing. So, go out, see which is so far, and also give some eye exercises like rotating your eyes, front or left, right, up, down. So you can have some exercise in your eyes, and also you can cover your eyes like this, or like keeping your palm like this, like a cup, and you can keep your eyes, keep on your eyes, and for few seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, you can open it up. So for 10 times, if you do this, see, you will be having some relaxation on your eyes. And also you can have during the free time, you can have some you can keep some vegetables like a tomato or some cucumbers on your eyes. So it gives you it won't tire your eyes. So the first thing you can go and see, you can have long sights, you can see the things that is forward, you can do your eye exercise up and down, right and left, or you can close your eyes, you can sit, close your eyes and sit with this, covering your eyes with your palms, and you can have some vegetables like cucumber and tomato on your eyes. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Any more queries? How to cope up with the stress situation, being at home, and especially students who are always looking into the mobile phone, laptop. In chat section, ma'am is asking a question. Ma'am, you can ask the question. Joy Jabakani can ask the question. She put it in the chat section. Yes, ma'am, you can ask the question. Could you tell me from which industry people is facing too much of mental health problem? For the guest, can you address the question? She put it in the chat section. Could you tell me from which industry people is facing too much of mental health issues?
Even housewife is also having some problem in it, doing work at balance, taking care of their husbands, children, and old people. So in every, it's in every field, so in every industries and every work sectors, so everyone are facing mental health problems. So everyone needs some relaxation from this. According to me, so all the areas.
And this general question, like for those family who are lost their dear ones, and those who are in the critical situation, how they need to have an understanding. I mean, mental health.
Those who have lost, during the second wave, many have lost their loved ones. So the thing is, they should not be, the main thing, they should not be alone. Someone should be there to support themselves, support them. They can be in their relatives' house, or some relative can come and stay with them. Because they are alone, they will be thinking about the loss, and they may also have some suicidal thought also. So the monitoring is very important. Someone should be there along with them to give them positive vibes. So they will be having some hope or hope. So and then only will they think about their future. Definitely someone should be there along with them. We say it is a supportive counseling, or supportive people should be there along with them. So we say it's a grief counseling we used to give. So how to come out from that? So they should be engaged with some work, or they should share with their friends or family members. So they will give them positive energy. So they should not be alone.
Is there any immediate contact number where if a person feel depressed or stressed, if they want any counseling, is there any toll-free number or any number that they can contact?
Yeah, we have actually government has introduced that war room number. So if you call them, and they will give you the consent, they will ask in which district are you, and according to that they will give you a number, and you can talk to them.
Is there any like 108, 104? Is there anything, something for mental health?
At present I don't have that number. So war room number, if I get, I'll send it to you, so you can send to the participants. So they can, in war room itself they will tell you the numbers. So what we do, how we get numbers from the government. So they give the numbers, and we call them the patients, and we counsel them.
And someone has, Pragati Kapoor has put it in chat section that SRM Hospital has mental health app where you can interact with the maybe the psychologist or psychiatrist if you want, maybe. So the information has been posted, like SRM Hospital has mental health app. Is any more questions from the participants?
Sir, one request, sir.
Yes.
Please arrange like this session, sir, at least for 15 days once.
Oh, okay. We'll try, like as
Because
our nodal officer is working towards that, like a series of webinars will be organized in
Yes,
line
sir.
with awareness.
For families, sir, even for children also they can join. We have kids, yeah, and
Maybe
all
we
age
can-
people will join, sir, and we will join, and we'll see the session will be for all the family members, sir. We request like.
Thank you for feedback, ma'am. We'll definitely work upon it. And we just started our first, like, the commemoration of late Rajendra Prasad, who dedicated his life to create awareness among rural villages. And definitely we were being concerned about the all corners of the society. We will definitely arrange a program like this frequently.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Any more questions? Any feedbacks? Any feedbacks? Ranjini, you can now you can close the session. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Kandarsi, for your time and your lecture towards your mental health. And you have given a brief about anxiety, depression, stress, how to cope up with this, especially college students, school students, housewife, working women, all and persons, people who are working from the home with a laptop throughout the day. So we were able to get some inputs out of your lecture. Thank you for your time. And we would like to be part of our awareness program in the future course of our lectures too. And thank you for your time. I would like to thank our nodal officer, Dr. V. Thirumurugan, for arranging this session of physical and mental health. I would like to thank our SRM management, especially the Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, OVC, Chairman, Deans, Directors of our institutions, both SRM IST and Medical College and Research Center. So I hope the participants have taken the good word and the advices from the doctor and the psychologist to cope up with this present pandemic situation, and kindly disseminate the information that you gathered to your close circles and those who are in need of such advices. Thereby they will also get positivity and they will know there is a way to overcome this stressful situation. We hope we will overcome the situation through the advice of today's webinar. And as been told in the feedback, we would like to continue this webinar series towards all target audience, starting from children to housewife. And now we started with the rural people awareness about this physical and mental health. With this, I thank for all the people who have come today, attended patiently throughout the seminar. Thanks for your presence, and thanks for those who participants and even faculties, directors, and deans have participated in this webinar. Thank you for it. Now over to Dr. Thirumurugan sir to have final word of this seminar.
Thank you. Thanks, Samuel, Ranjini. Thanks for all participants. Next session series of this seminar is we are planned every week, and also we planned we will coordinate with Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, IIT Delhi. The series program is planned every week. Next session is on 16th we will plan. And also thanks all Dean Directors to attending this program. Venkat Sastry sir, it is a unmute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your support and all.
Absolutely, sir. It's a very interesting and it's relevant topic, so it makes a lot of sense to understand from the experts. And, both our professors and doctor, they did a great justice to this entire thing.
Very good information they give.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Samuel. Thank you, all participants.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, you can. Thank you, sir. You can discuss, sir. Thank you.